My best friend said, "Your girlfriend wants me, step aside." Told him, "Be my guest." Then I forwarded her his messages, plotting behind her back. 30 minutes later, my phone lit up with his frantic calls. She had torched him in our group chat and filed charges. I'm 28 male, and until that day, I thought loyalty was my strongest currency. Henry, also 28, had been my closest friend for nearly 15 years. We grew up together, survived high school drama, and even lived as roommates during college. He was the guy I trusted with everything from my insecurities to my dreams. And then there was Maria, my girlfriend. 27. We'd been together for almost 3 years, and I was saving for an engagement ring. She wasn't just another relationship, she was home. The kind of woman who laughed at my corny jokes, who pushed me to chase better opportunities, who sat with me through sleepless nights of anxiety. So when Henry sat across from me in my apartment, swirling a beer like it was just another casual evening, and dropped that bomb, I felt like my chest had been hollowed out. His exact words: "She wants me. She's been dropping hints. The chemistry's unreal." At first I thought it was some sick joke. My instinct was to laugh, shake my head, and call him an idiot. But then he doubled down. He leaned in with this smug grin, like he was doing me a favor, like betraying me was some kind of noble act. My hands clenched so hard I felt my nails digging into my palms. A wave of rage hit me. I wanted to wipe that arrogant look off his face. But then another thought cut through. What if Maria really was involved? My stomach turned cold. My mind raced through every late reply, every vague text, every night she said she was too tired. Henry took my silence as weakness. "Look, man, I know this is hard, but you'll thank me later. We're just better together. It's fate." That's when I asked him, calm as I could manage, "You got proof?" He smirked and handed me his phone, scrolling through messages. What I saw made me sick, but not because Maria was cheating. The texts were all one-sided. Henry trying to flirt, trying to twist innocent conversations into something they weren't. He was the one scheming. That's when everything clicked. He wasn't just a bad friend, he was delusional. He thought he could manipulate her, then corner me into stepping aside. So I played along, smiled, nodded, and said, "If that's what you think, Henry, she's all yours." His grin widened. He thought he'd won. But the second he left my place, I screenshotted everything and sent it to Maria. Her reply was instant. "Meet me in 10 minutes. And that's when the real storm started brewing. Henry sat back in my living room like he owned the place, swirling the last sip of his beer with that smug smirk. "You'll see, man. She's been giving me signals. You're just too close to notice." My stomach dropped, but instead of exploding, I played it cool. "That's so?" I asked, leaning back, watching him dig his own grave. His confidence wasn't just arrogance, it was betrayal wrapped in delusion. The second he left, I opened my phone. I'd been suspicious already, so I had his earlier texts save the ones he stupidly sent to a mutual friend, bragging about how Maria would eventually realize she was settling and choose him. Clear as day, his words were a blueprint of his scheme. Maria was cooking dinner when I handed her my phone. She scrolled, eyebrows raised, then let out a sharp laugh. "Is this for real? He actually thinks I'd choose him." Her disbelief turned to fury as she kept reading. She grabbed her own phone without hesitation. Within 5 minutes, screenshots of Henry's messages were plastered in our group chat. The same chat we'd all used for vacations, birthdays, late-night jokes. Suddenly, the laughter was gone, replaced by silence, then an explosion of shock. "What the hell, Henry?" one friend typed. "Dude, this is low, even for you. You've known them forever. How could you pull this?" Henry tried to spin it. "You guys don't get it. She's been leading me on." I was just being honest. But the receipts were undeniable, and Maria wasn't holding back. She typed paragraph after paragraph, laying out every detail, every time he had overstepped, every slimy hint he'd dropped. Then came the part he never expected. Maria threatened legal action. Unwanted advances. Harassment. "I'll file if I need to," she wrote. The chat went dead silent. Henry's name at the top of my phone started flashing almost instantly, call after call. By the 5th missed call, my screen filled with desperate texts. "Bro, please, tell her to calm down. Can't let her do this. It was just a joke, man. I didn't mean it." But I wasn't answering. Maria looked at me, eyes blazing. "He thinks this is a game. Let's show him it's not." She pressed forward, documenting everything. making sure the whole circle knew what he'd been doing behind my back. The same guy who once called me brother was now exposed as a liar and a predator. And just like that, the power shifted. Henry wasn't in control anymore. Maria was. And he knew it. That was the night the phone calls really started, the frantic kind. He wasn't laughing, he wasn't smug, he was begging. And the more he begged, the more pathetic he sounded. And for the first time in 15 years, I didn't feel guilty ignoring him. By the next morning, my phone looked like a crime scene. Missed calls, unread messages, voicemails stacked like a desperate tower. Henry had gone from smug king of the hill to a man dangling off the edge, clawing for a grip. "Listen, bro," one voicemail started, his voice cracking. "You know I was drunk, right? I didn't mean any of it. It's just talk to Maria. Tell her to drop this before it gets ugly." Ugly, it was already ugly. Maria had screenshotted everything and saved it in a folder. She wasn't bluffing about pressing charges, and she'd already drafted a report in case Henry didn't back off. At lunch, Maria met up with a couple of our mutual friends. She told them point blank what had happened. How Henry had tried to play both sides and how he had the audacity to sit in my house and claim she wanted him. By the time she finished, our circle was radioactive. People started choosing sides and, no surprise, Henry was left standing alone. The guy who once bragged about being the glue of the group had become the stain everyone wanted to scrub out. That night my phone buzzed again. But this time it wasn't Henry, it was his older sister. "He's freaking out," she said, crying, screaming. "He says Maria's going to ruin his life. Can you please just calm her down?" I almost laughed. Calm her down? After he schemed behind my back, tried to steal my girlfriend, and then lied about her leading him on. He had already dug his grave. Meanwhile, Maria wasn't slowing down. She changed her profile picture to one of us together, posted a story with the caption, "Loyalty is priceless. Betrayal is bankruptcy." Our mutuals ate it up. Comments poured in. Everyone knew who she was talking about. Henry finally snapped and showed up at my apartment uninvited. He was pounding on the door, shouting my name. I didn't even open it. Maria stood beside me, arms crossed, recording everything. "This counts as harassment," she whispered. "He's only giving me more evidence." Through the door, I heard him break, his words slurred together, his bravado gone. "Please, man, don't let her do this. She'll ruin everything. I was drunk. I was stupid. She doesn't have to call the cops," but she did. The next morning, Maria filed an official harassment complaint. The officer who took her statement didn't even flinch apparently. Henry wasn't the first guy who thought jokes like his were harmless. Within hours, Henry's frantic calls shifted from apologies to threats. "If she ruins me, I'll ruin you too," he texted. That was his last mistake. Maria forwarded everything straight to the officer. Henry thought betrayal would make him powerful. Instead, it stripped him down to the weakest version of himself. And for the first time, I realized I wasn't just watching him lose eye, was watching him self-destruct. Henry always thought he was untouchable. In high school, he was the golden boy quarterback, charming, the kind of guy parents trusted and teachers excused. That same cocky confidence carried him into adulthood, and for years he acted like rules didn't apply to him. But now the rules were catching up. 2 days after Maria filed the harassment complaint, Henry's boss called me, not directly through a mutual friend. Word had spread, and apparently Henry's company didn't like being associated with a potential harassment case. Corporate clients hate drama, and Henry's loud, arrogant personality had already rubbed people the wrong way. This was the crack that broke the dam. Meanwhile, Maria wasn't backing down. She sent me a message one night. "I'm not doing this to be petty. I'm doing it because guys like him never think there are consequences." That hit me hard. She wasn't just protecting herself, she was setting an example. Henry, on the other hand, was spiraling. He started blowing up our group chat again, alternating between threats and pity plays. "You know I didn't mean it like that." Then 2 messages later. "If you don't fix this, I'll make sure you regret it." By then, nobody was taking him seriously. Screenshots of his meltdowns were circulating like wildfire. The tipping point came during a weekend barbecue some of our mutual friends hosted. Henry showed up uninvited, red-eyed, jittery, and desperate. The second he walked in, conversations froze. People shifted away from him like he was contagious. Maria was there too, and she didn't flinch when she saw him. She simply pulled out her phone and said, "Henry, you should leave before you embarrass yourself further." That broke him. He started ranting. Loud, ugly, incoherent. "She's lying. You're all taking their side because it's easier. She wanted me." He pointed at Maria, his voice cracking. That was his final mistake. Someone recorded the whole meltdown. Within hours, the video was all over our friend circle's socials. The next day, Maria texted me a screenshot of a police notice. Henry had been officially warned. If he kept contacting either of us, the complaint would escalate into charges. The message was clear. His reputation was already in ashes, and now the law was hovering over his shoulder. That night, I sat with Maria in my apartment, the weight of everything finally sinking in. "I never thought it would go this far," I admitted. She shook her head. "You didn't make it go this far." He did. She was right. Henry thought betrayal made him clever. He thought scheming behind my back would put him on top. But instead, he lit his own fuse. And from where I was sitting, the explosion was just beginning. By the following week, Henry's world was collapsing faster than he could spin excuses. The meltdown video from the barbecue didn't just humiliate him, it reached people he desperately wanted to impress. His boss saw it. A couple of clients did too.
I am my buyer.
By Monday morning, Henry was placed on administrative leave. That's corporate speak for start packing your desk. He texted me that afternoon, something so out of character I had to reread it twice. "Man, please, I need you to tell Maria to drop this. I'll lose everything." There it was, the cocky friend who once thought he could steal my girlfriend, reduced to begging through broken sentences. For a moment, I almost felt sorry for him. Almost. Then I remembered the smug look on his face when he told me to step aside. Sympathy vanished. Maria wasn't swayed either. She showed me her phone. Dozens of unread messages from Henry. She blocked him on every platform. "He still doesn't get it," she muttered. "This isn't about him losing his job. It's about him learning he doesn't get to treat people like pawns." Meanwhile, our friend group had drawn its line in the sand. People who used to laugh at Henry's jokes now refused to sit near him. One friend told me Henry tried to show up at their house, only to be turned away at the door. "Man's radioactive," he said, shaking his head. "Nobody wants that kind of drama near their family." The isolation was eating Henry alive. He called me one night drunk, slurring, swinging between rage and tears. "You ruined me," he hissed. "You and her. You're not even that great, man. She's only with you because she can't do better." Then in the same breath, he whispered, "Please help me. I don't know what to do." I didn't answer. I let the silence hang until he hung up himself. The next day, I got an email from his employer's standard HR notice confirming that Henry was no longer employed with the firm. Just like that, 15 years of friendship and his shiny career were both gone. Maria and I sat together when the news hit. She squeezed my hand and said softly, "You handled this with more restraint than most people could." I shrugged. "I just showed you the truth." He burned the rest down himself. Still, there was a weight to it. Losing a friend of 15 years wasn't nothing. But Henry had made his choice the second he put his ego above loyalty. The fallout was only a matter of time. As the sun set that night, Maria leaned against me, quiet but steady. Henry's voice echoed in my head, desperate and broken. But for once, his chaos wasn't my problem. His final chapter was coming, and I wouldn't have to lift a finger. Henry's downfall didn't stop with losing his job. A week later, word spread that Maria had officially filed harassment charges, backed by every screenshot and voice message he had ever sent her. When the detective called me to confirm the timeline of events, it hit me. This wasn't just a messy breakup between friends. This was real life with real consequences. Henry's panic went into overdrive. Tried everything: fake apologies, mutual friends as messengers, even a handwritten letter shoved under Maria's windshield wiper. But the damage was beyond repair. Maria turned everything over to her attorney. His words, his own arrogance, were now evidence. Meanwhile, Maria and I grew closer, not because of Henry's collapse, but in spite of it. We started spending more quiet nights together, cooking, watching bad movies, just enjoying the absence of chaos. There was relief in the silence, in knowing neither of us had to glance over our shoulders. Still, I couldn't completely shake the ghost of our friendship. 15 years of inside jokes, road trips, birthdays, it doesn't just vanish overnight. One night I found myself scrolling through old photos of Henry and me, grinning at baseball games. celebrating graduations, standing side by side at family barbecues. It felt like looking at a stranger. That's when I realized something important. Loyalty isn't measured in time, it's measured in choices. And Henry had made his choice. His final attempt at control came during Maria's group chat, the same one where she first exposed him. He joined under a burner number and tried to spin a story about me manipulating her, about how he was the real victim. The group wasn't having it. He roasted him so thoroughly that within minutes, the account vanished. That was the last time he tried to fight back. When the court date finally came, Maria didn't even need me to testify. The screenshots, the recordings, the patterns of behavior, they spoke louder than I ever could. Henry walked out of that courthouse looking like a shell of himself. No swagger, no smirk. Just a man who thought he was untouchable, finally realizing he wasn't. For me, it was closure. Not the kind that comes with revenge, but the kind that comes with clarity. I didn't have to destroy Henry. He destroyed himself. All I did was refuse to cover for him. Maria and I left the courthouse hand in hand. She looked at me and said, "Thank you for not stepping aside," smiled. "Thank you for not believing him." As we walked away, I thought about Henry's words that night in my living room. Step aside. But the truth was simple. Henry had stepped aside the moment he chose betrayal over brotherhood. He thought he was taking something from me. Instead, he lost everything that ever mattered. And me, I didn't lose. I learned. If you've made it this far, go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments.